Welcome to the UFC 320 prop drop, where I briefly go over every single matchup once again, but from a props perspective, giving you guys my favorite props for every matchup, or at least something to look forward to for a hedge if you find yourself too overexposed on one side. So without waiting too much longer here, let's get right into it. First matchup up, we got Veronica Hardy taking on Brogan Walker. It's very wild to see Hardy up at minus 1,000, but she should win this matchup. Walker's been out of the action for over 2.5 years, while Hardy had a 3-1 run since returning from her own hiatus. But I expect her to utilize her taekwondo to chip away at Walker from distance and win this fight on the scorecards, which you can get at minus 195, which is still way too damn chalky. On the flip side for Brogan, I feel like there's a couple different ways she could possibly pull this off if it does end up going her way. One, she's able to get to her wrestling and her BJJ, and she can grind this out to win it on the scorecards, which you can get at plus 650. Maybe she wraps up a submission at plus 1,800. And we know Veronica Hardy slows down later on in matchups. If Walker is able to grind her down and get that submission late, a round 3 submission pays out plus 5,000 for Brogan Walker. But again, long shots for a reason. All right, next up, we got Austin Vanderford going up against Ramiz Brahimaj. I believe this is a perfect matchup for Vanderford to continue his winning ways, and I think he can replicate what he did last time around against Nikolai Veretennikov. I think Vanderford to win by knockout at plus 380 is a good spot. We want to get closer with it, or a little bit more specific with it. Vanderford round 2 is plus 800. Vanderford round 3 is plus 1,400. Vanderford round 2 KO plus 1,300. Vanderford round 3 KO plus 2,000. On the flip side, we know what the path to victory is for Brahimaj. 11 of his 12 wins coming in the first round. The majority, I believe, pretty much all of them, or with the exception of one of them, have come by submission as well. So you got Brahimaj round 1 plus 750, which obviously plays out well. And then Brahimaj round 1 submission is plus 1,100. Those are usually the two best ways to attack Brahimaj fights, considering the history that he has coming into this matchup. Our next up, we got Punahele Soriano going up against Nikolai Veretennikov. I believe this is a perfect matchup for Soriano to continue his winning ways at 170 pounds, and I believe his victory can come one of two ways. The first is, which I'm leaning on more than the other, by decision, plus 270. If he uncorks his big power like he did against Uroš Medic, you can cash that KO ticket at plus 140. For Veretennikov, I think he's going to struggle to finish Soriano, and if he wins, it will probably come on the scorecards, and you can get him to win by decision at plus 650. All right. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got Patchy Mix going up against UFC newcomer Jakub Wiklacz. I've been saying it all week. I believe Mix is just a better version of Wiklacz. I think Mix outgrinds, outgrapples, and outscrambles Wiklacz on the route to a decision victory, which you can cash out plus 175. In case Mix does get onto one of his patented guillotines or front choke series, you can get him to win by submission at plus 185. So not a lot of difference there between those two props. And I think those same two path to victories are on the table for Wiklacz if he does get his hand raised. You can get Wiklacz by decision at plus 400 or Wiklacz by submission at plus 1,000. Next up, we got Yana Santos going up against Macy Chiasson. Something of note here, Chiasson did miss weight this morning for the second time officially, but we've known she's obviously had issues in the past with cutting down to 135 pounds. I think Santos will be best served to try to put that pace on her right away with her sticking and moving game plan, utilizing her striking advantage, getting that jab out there, landing that 2 behind it, and then showcasing her takedown defense early, just like she did against Chelsea Chandler and Miesha Tate last time around. If Chiasson gets that late takedown, okay, but I think by then she might have been a little bit too exhausted, maybe tired, and she might not be able to produce a finish. And I think we'll see another classic Santos victory where she gets that first 2 rounds with her damage, and then the third round she survives long enough. So you can get Santos by decision at plus 220, and then on the flip side, you can get Chiasson by decision at plus 160. Next up, we got Jusang Yu going up against Daniel Santos. Santos, another one being stricken by some weight cutting issues. Apparently, he called Yu's team the night before and asked for a catch weight of 152 pounds, which is not a good look. You know, Santos has often struggled at 135 pounds to make weight, now struggling to make weight at 145 pounds. Probably not going to help him out in this matchup. I think you can stick him from distance, maybe land some own grappling and takedowns of his own. But I think you probably wins this fight on the scorecards, which you can get at plus 330. In case Santos is compromised from the weight cut, maybe you shows off his classic power once again, and you can get him to win by knockout at plus 460. On the flip side, for Santos, I don't think he's going to have enough left in the tank here to try to put together a good performance like he did against Jung Lee last time around with some takedowns and control. And I think he'll have to come out a little bit reckless and look for a knockout, which you can cash at plus 480. All right, next up we got Farid. I keep saying Javid. God damn it. All week it got me. But we got Farid Basharat going up against Chris Gutierrez, and I feel like this fight is pretty straightforward. I think Basharat will stay competitive with Gutierrez in the striking and eventually get to his grappling and his takedowns, and we know from recent fights that Gutierrez is pretty much a fish off his back. So I think Basharat grinds this out and wins it by decision, which you can get at minus 165. In case Basharat does have more success on the ground and puts Gutierrez in some bad spots, you can get Basharat to win by submission at plus 500. And then if Gutierrez wins, for him to win, I think it'll probably come by decision, and that price is currently at plus 700. All right, next up, middleweight scrap here between Edmund Shahbazyan and Andre Muniz. I think it'll be hard for Shahbazyan to showcase that disciplined striking approach like he had against Andre Prochazka last time around, because Muniz is going to be a little bit more aggressive, looking to get into the clinch and grappling range, and even throwing some power shots of his own. I think that will eventually lead to Shahbazyan countering and clipping and putting Muniz out, and you can get Shahbazyan to win by knockout at minus 165. More specifically, round 1 KO you can get plus 175, and round 2 KO you can get at plus 420. On the flip side for Muniz, it's pretty much the opposite. Muniz by submission plus 500. Muniz round 2 submission plus 1700. Muniz round 3 submission plus 2200. All right. Next up, we got Atiba Gautier taking on short notice UFC newcomer of Treston Vines. I'm not going to get too deep into this one. Gautier round 1 knockout minus 210, just too wide. No point in me even playing that. And if Vines wins, maybe he gets to his grappling. Maybe he can survive that early onslaught, and you can get Vines to win by decision at plus 330. I just don't see that happening. Our next up, we got Abus Magomedov going up against Joe Pyfer. A lot of people overlooking Magomedov in this matchup, and I think we have an opportunity to cash some big plus money tickets. Obviously, if Pyfer wins by knockout, that's probably going to come at plus 135. But if Magomedov wins and survives that early onslaught from Pyfer, I think we'll see Magomedov do a good job in terms of getting to his grappling, his clinch, his striking, which we can't overlook either. And I think he ends up winning on the scorecards, which he can get at plus 500. All right, main card time now. I think that was the first fight of the main card now that I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that was the first fight of the main card. Gautier. Headlines of prelims. All right, next up we got Youssef Zalal going up against Josh Emmett. I expect Zalal to just tread the cage like he did against Calvin Kattar, pick apart Emmett from distance with his volume, and I think he wins on the scorecards, which you can get at minus 175. But if Zalal does come out a little bit more aggressive than that last fight and sticks to what we've been seeing from him prior to that, you can get Zalal by submission at plus 500. On the flip side, it's got to be Emmett by knockout at plus 700 being the only way he can end up winning this fight. All right, next up, we got Khalil Rountree going up against Yuri Prochazka, a fight that will surely produce fireworks and more than likely a knockout. I'm going to lean with the underdog here with Rountree Jr., as I think he'll be able to clip the chin of Prochazka and put him away after battering that lead leg a little bit. That gives you Rountree by knockout at plus 360. And then on the flip side for Prochazka, if he wins, probably comes by knockout. That comes in at plus 100. All right. Next up, we got Merab Dvalishvili looking to defend his title against Corey Sandhagen. I'm assuming that we're going to get another Dvalishvili by decision at minus 195. But he did show some more aggression against Sean O'Malley to set up that submission. Sandhagen obviously a little bit trickier to get into a submission. But if you do want to take that narrative, Dvalishvili by submission, you can get plus 900. On the flip side, I think Sandhagen's win condition comes via finish, whether it's by sub at plus 850 or he catches Dvalishvili sorry, I meant to say, yeah, Sandhagen by knockout at plus 850, and also Sandhagen by submission is a whopping plus 2700, which is not a bad approach, but I think that Dvalishvili should be able to stay out of most of it. All right, that brings us to the main event now, where we got the light heavyweight title on the line, with Magomedov Ankalaev looking to defend against Alex Poatan Pereira. First of all, I like the under 3.5 here at plus 100. I expect Pereira to be a little bit more aggressive, and that could either work for or against him. I'm assuming it's going to work against him, as Ankalaev is, a very underrated striker. I've already seen somebody comment on one of my videos this week saying that picking Ankalaev by KO is nonsensical, but he was the one that hurt Pereira the most in their first matchup. He is a very underrated striker, and I think he'll showcase it once again here when he gets that knockout and is able to catch that plus 290 ticket. And then on the flip side for Pereira, same thing. Pereira by knockout plus 300. But again, I think under 3.5 covers either outcome here, as I expect this to be done within 2 to 2.5 rounds. All right, let's quickly talk about the top 3 prop spots in Longshot. Last week, I believe we went 0-2 because Tafa round 1 knockout was voided, as Tafa was not able to make the weight. We lose out on Tainara by sub. I really expected her to dominate Luke Bumi on the ground enough to get that submission. Josias Musasa and Colby Thickness under 2.5 does not come through for us, so very unfortunate about that. And then we had the Ellison by submission prop, which he was going for the grappling, but the worst choice he could make was pull guard under a big man like Brando Pericic, and he obviously felt the power there and got knocked out. So let's try to turn things around here with the top 3 spots. First of which is going to be Patchy Mix by decision at plus 175. The second one will be Khalil Rountree by knockout at plus 360. And then the main event, Magomedov Ankalaev and Alex Pereira under 3.5 at plus 100. Long shot, we're going to go Austin Vanderford round 2 KO at plus 1300 against Ramiz Brahimaj. All right. That is a wrap on all the content this week. Good God, am I happy to finally be done on it, all of that stuff. I still got to break down Octagon, which I'll be doing only in written form on the Lock of the Night Patreon page. Otherwise, we got Cage Warriors and Octagon tomorrow morning, and then we got the big UFC 320 going down at night. I cannot wait to just sit back and take it all in. All right, I will be back on Sunday to break down, I believe it's week 9 of the Contender Series now. And then we have a much lighter load of events next week that I'll be covering. I believe it's going to be LFA 219, LFA 219 and UFC Rio, which is headlined by Charles Dobronx Oliveira and Mateusz Gamrot. Should be a fun grapple fest there. So, good luck on all your action this weekend, folks. And I'll see you guys again on Sunday for the Contender Series breakdowns. Peace.